I'm the Global Runner and I've got some decisions to make. I have a half marathon race coming up and I have a bunch of shoes, lucky for me, that I could pick from. And so I'm going to go through and tell you what race shoe I'm going to pick. Now, before we get there, I do think there is a difference between picking between a marathon race shoe and a half marathon race shoe. For a marathon race shoe, I would be more inclined to look for the higher stack and the softer foams, which will protect your legs later on in the marathon. But for the half marathon, I think I'm going to focus more on weight and a bit more responsiveness. So something like this would be firmer and more responsive. So my favorite shoe of all time is this one. This is the original Vaporfly. And if I could run any race in this shoe, I'd be very happy. But all my pairs of this are now massively beaten up. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to find another pair. I haven't raced in anything other than Nike for at least a decade. So we've got a bunch of shoes here, and spoiler alert, I don't think I'm going to be racing my half marathon in Nike. The first option obviously is the Vaporfly 3, and this is what I ran my latest marathon in. This is a decent option. Like I could run in this, I know it, it's safe, lightweight. It is something that I could happily run my marathon in and there'd be no issues whatsoever. But I've decided not to run my half marathon in this one. I was finding it wasn't giving the responsiveness that it has compared to other shoes. There used to be a time when Vaporfly was the only option. I think the other companies have caught up and the Vaporfly maybe hasn't progressed in the way that it should have. So the question is, well, why not the Alphafly? Well, that would be a good option, and I was very tempted by that, but I think it's the weight of the Alphafly that puts me off to a certain degree. But also, I find that I tend to work harder in the Alphafly. It brings great results, but I do work harder than maybe I want to, and I just feel like I'm not a big enough runner. I'm not a heavy enough runner to justify this stack. Personally, I prefer shoes where I don't feel them actually, where I feel comfortable, they roll through, I almost forget that they're on my feet. So then we have things like the On. I only have the OnCloud Boom Echo. I did try on the OnCloud Boom Strike at a running store in Toronto, and they were a good shoe. They felt light, they felt really good on, but the front just felt a bit too big for me, and the forefoot, the overlay, just felt too sloppy. Plus, they were extremely expensive. This again, I've come to like this a bit more. I didn't run in this for quite some time, and then I used it on the treadmill recently, and this is a really decent shoe. It's a little bit heavier than, say, some of the others that we're going to be looking at today, but I do like this shoe a lot. I think I would wear it in a 5K and maybe a 10K. It's extremely responsive. It almost feels like a track spike when you're wearing it. But I think for me, it's too firm for the half marathon. I could definitely see a lot of people wearing this in the half marathon though, and I'm sure it would fare them very well. And then we have a couple of surprise entrants, which it would be remiss of me not to talk about. So the first one is the Adidas Adis Evo SL. It's a very lightweight shoe for what it does, and I would expect a lot of people would run a half marathon in this, which is very fast. I wasn't the biggest fan on the first run that I did in these. They felt fast and they felt super fun and they felt super bouncy, but the stack height was a little bit too high for me personally, and it sort of hurt my toe knuckle a little bit, which I've had problems with before. But I think that's very much a me problem rather than the shoe problem. I could see people running a half marathon in these if you can get your hands on them. Another candidate in the surprise category is the Super Blast. Again, extremely rare, but I managed to get my hands on a pair of these. I have still only run 1 mile in these. I found them a bit big, a bit slappy, and I personally think they're too heavy for the half marathon, but a lot of people swear by these and say when you get them up to faster paces, they're amazing. So would you run a half marathon in these? I won't be, but maybe you would. Then we have the two different meta speeds. We have the Sky, which is this one, and you can tell because it says it in there, thankfully, which is slightly different from the Edge. And I've got a video which goes through these two shoes, so feel free to check that out. To me, these are very similar shoes. The Sky is slightly lighter and indeed is the lightest shoe here today. I think I've got on a little bit better with the Sky than I have with the Edge. I found that my running style suited the Sky a little bit more. I find the upper on the Edge to be better than the upper on the Sky. The upper on the Edge has less material, I think. That's what it feels like to me. And my only problem with the Sky is that there's this ton of material and I just feel like my forefoot is swimming in there. That puts me off a little bit. These are massive contenders for the shoe that I want to wear, but I'm put off a little bit by the fact that I'm swimming around in the forefoot. Now, I did think about taking the insole out of the On shoes because they've got this tacky stuff on the inside and putting it in the Meta Speed Sky to make sure that I wasn't moving around with my foot. But I decided against that. You can't really pull them out and I was worried about pulling away the glue. So Meta Speed Sky was one that I definitely thought I was going to be running with, but I'm not. So the shoe that I've decided that I'm going to race my half marathon in is this one, the Puma Nitro Elite 3. And I cannot believe that I'm going to be racing in a pair of Puma shoes. At the start of the year, I would never have guessed that I'd be wearing these. I find the foam in these to be excellent. We've got enough energy return. The grip is fantastic. I don't know what they make this out of, but this is an amazing grip and it just feels like a great shoe. I did compare it to the Sky just on a walking test and I found that the Sky wasn't as smooth when I was walking. So there was two steps, there was the back and then there was a flip to the front. And maybe when I'm running that will go through more quickly and it won't be an issue, but it did feel like a two-step process. Whereas this, there was much more of a roll and I felt like I was much more comfortable wearing these. And ultimately comfort is extremely important. If you have to pick a shoe, pick the most comfortable. So to me, this is the most comfortable, this is the least risky. This is one of the lightest shoes and I'm extremely excited to see how this is going to fare over the half marathon. Let me know what you think. Have you tried any of these shoes? Do you think I've made the right decision? I may not have made the right decision, but I'm excited to find out. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Don't forget to mash the like button and I'll see you very soon.